Translator, Dark Angel, Editor Kurisutan, Wei Qi immediately bowed his head and offered an apology, saying, "Young Master Han, please pardon this one's blindness." Though Kong Wenhui's heart was unwilling, seeing even Tan Wei Qi lower his head, how could he still dare stand stiff-backed? He too bowed his head and said, "I was wrong. Please forgive me, young Master Han." "Scram," Ziyan scolded sharply, lifting her hand to point. The two of them inwardly thanked the heavens for their narrow escape as they prepared to flee at once. "Who permitted you to leave?" Ling Han asked. A trace of displeasure surfaced on Ziyan's face. She was the third imperial prince's most trusted aide, and throughout the entire imperial city, who would not respectfully greet her as Miss Ziyan? Yet even after she had stepped out to mediate, Ling Han still refused to let the matter rest. Was this not deliberately refusing to give her face in public? Tan Wei Qi and Kong Wenhui were both experts at reading expressions, and in an instant they were secretly delighted. So long as Ling Han and Ziyan came into conflict, they would immediately regain the upper hand. Meanwhile, Li Hao and Zhu Shuiyi both grew anxious, uneasy at how imperiously Ling Han was acting. "What other command does young Master Han have?" Tan Wei Qi asked with utmost respect. He knew that the more humble he appeared now, and the more overbearing Ling Han behaved, the more dislike Ziyan would be stirred to feel. "I have already said it. The two of you will dance naked here for an hour, and we shall forget today's matter," Ling Han said. "Young Master Han, death is better than humiliation." In matters of petty scheming, Kong Wenhui was clearly also a seasoned hand, and he immediately coordinated perfectly with Tan Wei Qi, deliberately putting on an expression of extreme fury. Who would believe that it had been he who first suggested Zhu Shuiyi dance naked? Sure enough, the displeasure on Ziyan's face deepened. She had not witnessed the matter from beginning to end, and only knew what she was seeing now. Clearly, Ling Han was behaving far too tyrannically. Yet Ling Han was someone the third imperial prince very much wished to befriend, so she did not dare offend him either. She said, "Young Master Han, isn't that too much? Why not let them prepare some gifts and personally visit you tomorrow to express their deepest apologies to young Master Han and your friends? We shall heed Miss Ziyan's instructions." Tan Wei Qi and Kong Wenhui instantly nodded with respectful obedience. "Big Brother Ling, let's just forget it." Li Hao and Zhu Shuiyi also advised. Ling Han remained unmoved and said, "There is no need for such trouble. So long as they dance naked here today, then we shall consider the matter settled." "Don't go too far. I don't believe you dare kill us," Kong Wenhui shouted, intending to provoke Ling Han into acting. Ling Han merely smiled calmly and said, "The Empire has its laws. Who would dare disobey them? However, you two are but minor characters. The best choice for you is to dance obediently. Otherwise, I will tear off all your clothes and leave you hanging in this street for 3 days and 3 nights. "Young Master Han," Ziyan could not help interrupting, a hint of coldness appearing upon her lovely face. "What is it? You disagree?" Ling Han turned his gaze to her. "Ha! How could that be?" A burst of laughter sounded out, and the third imperial prince strode forth. These two actually dared delay the meeting between Brother Ling and myself. How could they be let off without harsh punishment? Third imperial prince. Tan Wei Qi and Kong Wenhui both gasped in shock. They had never imagined Ling Han would have such an amicable relationship with the third imperial prince. Only now did Kong Wenhui manage to guess who Ziyan was, and he could not help shivering with fear. That was the third imperial prince, an imperial prince who held real authority in his hands. In the future, it was possible he would inherit the throne. Ziyan instantly stepped back to stand behind the third imperial prince, as though she were his shadow. "You've heard Ling Han's words, right? Then dance right here," the third imperial prince said calmly, yet within his tone lay a severity that could not be refused. This was the aura of one who stood in the upper echelons. Agony twisted across Tan Wei Qi and Kong Wenhui's faces, yet they did not dare disobey. Brimming with humiliation, they began to remove their clothing. "Brother Ling, please," the third imperial prince said with a smile. With his status, he would naturally not remain here to watch two men dance naked. "Do you mind if I bring 2 friends along?" Ling Han asked with a smile. "Of course not," the third imperial prince answered with a laugh. Ling Han smiled at Li Hao and Zhu Yi and said, "If you two have nothing to do later, would you like to come with me?" "Can we really?" Li Hao and Zhu Yi's heartbeats instantly quickened. That was the one and only third imperial prince. If they could share a meal with him, then who in the imperial city would dare bully them in the future? Ling Han must have thought of this as well, and that was why he invited them along. At once, a powerful gratitude toward Ling Han surged within the two of them. "Of course you can," Ling Han said with a smile. "Many thanks, Big Brother Ling. Many thanks, Third Imperial Prince." Li Hao and Zhu Yi spoke in unison, their gazes burning as they looked at Ling Han. This fellow had only come to the imperial city for a few days, yet he was already an honored guest of the Third Imperial Prince. He was truly too formidable. The five of them turned and stepped into the Cherishing Flower Pavilion. As for the pitiable Tan Wei-chi and Kong Wen-hui, they continued their naked dancing in the street. Even though the Third Imperial Prince and the others were no longer here, they did not dare seize the chance to flee. Otherwise, if the Third Imperial Prince insisted on pursuing the matter, it would truly become something grave. Two sturdy men stripping in public. Each time they removed a piece of clothing, they continued to dance. It was indeed a rare spectacle, instantly drawing passers-by to gather around and watch. How offensive! To actually dance naked here! Hey! The most important part is that the dancers are two men. If it were two beautiful girls, it would be a far more pleasing sight. Che, just look at their two little da. They aren't even half as big as mine. Forget it. If you exposed your D in front of so many people, who knows? Maybe it would shrink so much it'd be smaller than theirs. Is there no one to handle this? Two sturdy men dancing naked on a busy street like this. If little kids saw it, wouldn't it be very inappropriate? The spectators began to jeer and mock, making Tan Wei-chi and Kong Wen-hui feel as if they wanted to cry. "Big Brother Tan, what do we do now?" Kong Wen-hui asked miserably. It was not only he being shamed now. This matter would definitely implicate the clan behind him, making their Kong clan the butt of jokes. In the future, his status within the clan would certainly plummet drastically because of this incident. "Shut up!" Tan Wei-chi looked as if he were about to commit murder. If not for Kong Wen-hui, how would he have fallen to such a state? He hated Ling Han, yet he hated Kong Wen-hui even more. Watching two sturdy men sway their and twist into various poses, the crowd erupted into loud laughter. After entering the Cherishing Flower Pavilion, Ling Han completely cast Kong Wen-hui and Tan Wei-chi to the back of his mind. He was not so petty as to keep harboring a grudge against two such minor characters. Of course, if the two of them still refused to yield after today, then what awaited them would be a thunderous crackdown. The Third Imperial Prince had reserved a side courtyard, and many guests had already arrived. When they saw Ling Han, curiosity rose on every face as they all began to guess at his origins. He was someone for whom the Third Imperial Prince not only sent out Miss Xian to receive, but even personally stepped out to welcome. Come, let me introduce him to all of you. This is Ling Han, Brother Ling, a young friend of Fu Yuansheng, Grandmaster Fu, and also someone on very friendly terms with Wu Songlin, Grandmaster Wu. When he learned Ling Han was actually a representative of Wu Songlin, he truly suffered a great shock. Rain Country had only two black-grade high-level alchemists, and both were extremely close with Ling Han. Thus, the Third Imperial Prince dared even less to slight Ling Han. Hiss. The others all sucked in a breath of cold air in shock. A young friend? How could such a term be used so casually? Translator? Dark Angel. Kurisu Ling Han might have become one of the Third Imperial Prince's hidden trump blades. Yet why did the prince so swiftly bear this edge? It was because the struggle for the Dragon Throne had reached its most critical stretch. The guests invited tonight were all the outstanding young talents from the various middle-class clans of the Imperial City. Should they declare loyalty to him, it would be no different from winning the assent of their clans. Do not belittle these clans. If a few hundred middle-class clans joined hands, their influence could be formidable. Most importantly, the 8 great clans were far too transcendent. Whichever imperial prince was crowned as emperor, they would still remain the 8 great clans, neither rising nor falling, and every reign emperor, without exception, still had to play the mediator well, maintaining peace among the 8 great clans. This was the duty of their reign. Thus, it was impossible to draw any of the 8 great clans into his camp. The 3rd imperial prince could only set his sights upon the middle-class clans. Why were there only a little over 30 people tonight? Because the other middle-class clans had already been split between his camp, the eldest imperial prince, and the 7th imperial prince. The ones remaining were these clans that had still not yet chosen whom to support, waiting for the best offer. Lastly, no matter which imperial prince ascended the throne, the clans that had backed the wrong camp would certainly be pushed aside by the other clans. It would not even be impossible for them to be quietly driven out of the imperial city in secret. When they heard that Ling Han actually had 2 black-grade high-level Grandmaster alchemists standing behind him, everyone could not help but reveal astonished expressions. Was that not far too heaven-defying? However, due to the exalted standing of alchemists, they usually would not, on their own initiative, interfere in any power struggle. Now, seeing how friendly the relationship between Ling Han and the 3rd Imperial Prince was, did that mean the 3rd Imperial Prince had gained the backing of these 2 ultimate Grandmaster alchemists? Heavens, that was a matter of grave seriousness. With these 2 terrifying great bosses supporting him, even if the current reign emperor already someone in mind as heir, he would likely have to reconsider, lest these 2 ultimate Grandmaster alchemists refuse to cooperate and make matters difficult for the imperial family when the new emperor was crowned. In the contest for the imperial throne, the 3rd imperial prince already possessed a slightly higher chance of victory. And now, all at once, 2 towering bosses emerged to support him. He was practically guaranteed to win. With such thoughts, these youths instantly became fervent, lowering themselves as far as they possibly could. At first, though they stood in the position of subjects, there was still pride set deep in their bones, because he was the one seeking to draw them into his camp. But now things were different. Now that they knew the 3rd Imperial Prince's trump card, they took the initiative to draw closer to him. They were both black-grade high-level alchemists. If the 2 of them casually tossed out any kind of alchemical medicine, it would be enough to drive them mad with craving. When the 3rd Imperial Prince saw this scene, the corners of his lips lifted into a smile. This was precisely what he wished to see. He could not wait to reveal this card, because the current reign emperor had the intention to abdicate, placing all his attention upon his martial arts studies. At most, within 5 years' time, the emperor wanted to have his heir inherit the throne, so the 3rd Imperial Prince had to seize every moment. Ha ha! Let us all drink! The 3rd Imperial Prince raised his wine cup, and in an instant everyone else raised theirs as well. When the 3rd Imperial Prince drained his cup, the others naturally did not dare leave wine behind in their own, and drained theirs too. After the 3rd Imperial Prince sat, they all returned to their seats. The 3rd Imperial Prince was now completely satisfied with his achievements. This place was merely the Cherishing Flower Pavilion, but in the near future, within the imperial court, there would be even more high-ranking figures paying him respect and submitting beneath his rule. The female attendants began to replenish the wine in everyone's cups. Why was the Cherishing Flower Pavilion so costly? Because these attendants were not only astonishingly beautiful, but also carried themselves with refined elegance. Some were even in element-gathering tier, and for men to have these female attendants accompany them in drinking satisfied that innate, natural desire to conquer. Ling Han was the brightest star tonight. A beauty sat on either side of him, accompanying him in drink, and both were in element-gathering tier. One had to know that these beauties were both women in their 20s, yet they had already stepped into element-gathering tier. Their talents were outstanding to begin with, but at the same time, they also required a vast amount of resources to reach this stage. These 2 women had both undergone strict training. They spoke softly and moved lightly, with graceful elegance. More remarkable still, they were extremely skilled at reading the expressions and movements of others. Ling Han needed only cast a glance, and they would know which dish he wished to sample. Immediately, they would take the initiative to deliver a bite-sized portion of that dish into Ling Han's mouth. Such a blissful arrangement was more than enough to make any young man lose all composure, easily falling into such a gentle snare. Yet what kind of mental strength did Ling Han possess? As the saying goes, he could walk through a field of flowers, yet not a single leaf would cling to his figure. No woman, no matter how beautiful, could stir his heart. He did not hold back any reservations either, and merely enjoyed the service of these two women in calm peace. Yet his eyes remained clear, and there was no sign of upon his face, causing the third imperial prince, who had kept one eye on him, to regard him even more highly. The third imperial prince even had the delusion that the person before him was not a youth in his teens, but an ultimate warrior who had endured countless hardships and witnessed innumerable grand spectacles. With the support of two great alchemical bosses behind him, Ling Han naturally became someone everyone wanted to curry favor with. Yet Ling Han seemed to have no intention of paying these people much attention. He only occasionally spoke with the third imperial prince, Li Hao and Zhu Sheiyi. The rest of the time, he simply focused on enjoying his meal. This was perfectly normal. In his previous life, he had been the one and only Alchemy Emperor. How could he possibly have the patience or mood to deal with these little brats who believed themselves extraordinary? None of the others felt there was anything strange about the proud manner Ling Han displayed, because alchemists were indeed proud people by nature. If Ling Han did not show such prideful behavior, they would instead feel it was odd. Seeing that Ling Han was not so easily approachable, they naturally turned their attention toward Li Hao and Zhu Sheiyi. They earnestly sought the company of these two, causing Li Hao and Zhu Sheiyi to feel overwhelmed. Just moments ago, a mere young master from a minor clan had dared to insult and humiliate them. Yet now, so many young masters from middle-class clans were all competing to befriend them. The two could not help but look toward Ling Han with gratitude. All of this was because of Ling Han. The third imperial prince saw that Ling Han only ate and drank, unlike the others who seized the chance to paw at the female attendants beside them, and asked, "Brother Ling, are you not satisfied with these two beauties?" Hearing these words, the two beauties instantly revealed resentful expressions, their lovely faces moving to behold. Even if one clearly knew they were only acting along, one still could not help but feel tenderness toward them. "Ha ha, if Brother Ling thinks they are not tender enough, then why not have Ziyan accompany you?" The third imperial prince suddenly asked. Ziyan's complexion instantly changed, and her body trembled slightly. Her eyes filled with resentment. She was not putting on a show. She truly felt heartbroken. She had thought she held a high place in the third imperial prince's heart, but never imagined she was still merely a card he could play. Li Hao and Zhu Shui's hearts both sped up at this. Before, Ziyan had been so grand and imposing before them, yet now she would still have to accompany Ling Han to drink. This gap was truly too vast for them to accept. Ling Han smiled and asked, "Are you willing, Miss Ziyan?" Ziyan's figure trembled once more, but she answered, "Ziyan is willing." Yet Ling Han shook his head and said, "A gentleman will not take another's favorite. Miss Ziyan belongs to the third imperial prince, so it is best you remain by the third imperial prince's side." Ziyan instantly looked at him with gratitude. Naturally, she did not dare disobey the third imperial prince's command. But if she could escape this calamity, her impression of Ling Han improved greatly. Yet at the same time, she gained a new understanding of the third imperial prince. Before the throne, anyone could only be a pawn he used, and if she continued to follow blindly at his heels, what kind of ending awaited her? She was clearly at a loss. "Ha ha! Third imperial prince, I have come late. May I enter?" At this moment, a clear voice rang out from outside, and it carried a very strong air with it. The third imperial prince's expression changed slightly, and he exclaimed, "Feng Yan!"